Tully vision, whereby the 7 colours to freedom is a new vision to a new future that holistically allows us to be in the world and not of its corruptive nature. So here we are, guys. We've really established a sense now of the possibility of seeing the you, which is the spirit. This is where we're going. We're going into the true you, the spirit of who you truly are, which is unknowable. You don't really ever know someone, but when you honour that which comes before, if you honour something greater than yourself, you're truly in relationship with not just yourself, but other people, because this is where we see into the nature of the not you. The not you is the programming in that first 7 years. And don't get me wrong, guys, what has made us who we are has obviously come from our story, but it's by recognising it from outside of that. We still have the character of our lessons, but we're developing a capacity to allow insight, love, the transcendent comes into that character now and allows us to see with the spirit the nature of the physical story of the human condition, where we access the why in order to bear any how. And so a lot of the times we're advertised to about what it means to be a man. Hollywood, all the social programming that we're a part of is really there to pull man into the narrative below. So instead of a man loving what is true, which is the spirit of who they truly are in the non-dual, the timeless dimension, instead of men loving that he is actually inspired from that spirit, so you and that spirit are essentially one. Because we lose the love of that spirit connection, we're the ones playing God in the fallen state. The foundation is stuck in the world in the cycle. And so man does not access who he truly is. And so if a man does stay in the foundation of the world, he's caught up in the story of its culture, and the word culture comes from that which does not flow, which develops a culture. And this is where the culture in a negative sense does not flow with life. And so this is what we've fallen for, especially over the last 100 years or so. We've been slowly falling into this from the First and Second World Wars. Once the human condition is traumatized by a loss of their sons and daughters, that trauma falls onto the children, and in 3 generations you've captured the programming of the entire human condition of red to green. So man is truly, if he's going to know what that is, he must go beyond the condition of the world. It's more in the capacity of a man to die to his story, because he lays down his life naturally for the greater. It's in his biology. The woman, if she's in the appreciation of what that truly represents, she's in the support of connection to family and beyond. And of course, when this isn't respected, like we're seeing in the culture today, we're already have things in reverse. Then everybody's confused. The natural is from the non-dual, which is 0 point, into the oneness, into the duality, which is 2, into the physical aspect of our daily lives. So it's been reversed, guys, for a reason, to keep us in this unconscious state below. So love, when it wants to come into the world, if we break this down, the biology of the feminine is XX. If we want to make a male, the male sperm needs to deliver that Y chromosome, which creates the biology of a male. And because humanity has been hijacked away from understanding what a man is and what a woman's role is in the world in relationship to that, we're easily programmed in the world whereby the child, which is in the lower aspect, the child comes in the first 7 years, that child does not really receive love in that culture. And because that's been confused, we're reversing the natural flow of life. So now when we understand why, once again, we understand it is the biology of that which is already innately created to access a greater love than itself. So this is where the man must go beyond his ego and realize with great humility that that love, which is already secure in the non-duality of the here and now, can flow through man to the woman, to the child. So now we know the why and the how. If you're a Christian, you would say God in Christ, Christ in man. And this is the humility of recognizing he that has overcome the world. But once again, be caught in narratives of dogma, narratives of religion, which separates. Let's bring it back to understanding the pure awareness that comes before the you, has surrendered its life for the love that can flow through into the world, and reorganize a society in such a way where the population can increase responsibly, because we're now bringing in the love and the care required to understand what it is that creates a healthy society. So by going within, we disappear out of the old narrative and the opportunity of a new future opens up. And so this new future that we have to look forward to relates to our true nature. This is why we love nature, guys, because the colour green is about balance. This is why we take time out in nature to tap into the balanced colour. So now that I've been in the world long enough to understand the ego nature, I'm developing the capacity to trust a truthful speech that is beyond the old story below. And that intuitive faculty, which is based in the non-dual, before time spirit, the spirit of who I am, can then see into the physical story, the matter. And the word matter is where we get the word mother, and the word mother relates to the archetype. I'm not talking about your mother here, I'm talking about the archetype of the Mother Earth, which is the physical dimension. And the physical dimension is where we're learning and we're developing that conditioning that is being programmed in the idea that you are that individual separate self that you can't escape. And of course, the way out of that is to recognize the nature of what holds me in that story. And so the me can now recognize that because it's fundamentally insecure. And with that, the world says, you need money to be successful. And so already moving into money being a priority, we are already missing the mark once again on another level. And because I'm not talking about your mother, I'm talking about the archetype of the earth, which is physical, the physical spirit. So how do we go beyond that cycle is to recognize our true identity comes before that. This is where the personal identity can be seen in context. The awareness of this allows us to see the story of how cleverly this plays into the deceptive cycle below. This is the primary that sees the secondary. So with the awareness first and you second. So the spirit, which is your future, because the future is based in the potentiality of us accessing this, because the past has already been contaminated and corrupted. So to get out of that, we're tapping into the archetype of the father. It's not your personal father now. This is the archetype of the spirit. We're coming out of the past of the mechanical me and into the spirit that is innately what we all share. So we're just developing a capacity to watch the nature of this incredibly clever entity that we call the ego. And in that spirit, the truth comes into the mechanical mind of the past, and the wisdom flows into the world, where we're addressing the old archetype of me and its relationship to the world. This is where the truth is all about bringing in the love, and this is where we access true freedom. Once again, we can see the attributes of the me and the mechanical mind, where the ignorance prevents understanding. Because we need to control our world now, we've lost the confidence to trust the spirit. Disappointment trumps our ability to appreciate what it is that has given us the trials and tribulations that develop character. The resentment of our past and the resentment we carry, that therefore we become what we resent and lose the capacity to bring honesty into the world. And our critical nature is now in the way of forgiving that which can't help itself in the lower state. So once again, we're developing an ability to see these attributes below that in the above transcend the fragmented mind of the me. So once again, we're seeing the illusion of the traumatized me, going beyond the mechanical me and allowing the spirit of who you are to develop the capacity to come into the world, seeing the me-made condition in context, and now this is going to bring us a flow. We're allowing the spirit of the here and now to flow into our thoughts. We're clearing from the 7 to 14 year range now, accessing all levels and dimensions of trauma now, guys, right up to 28 even. We're clearing out the lower aspect, and we're going through the narrow gate, and the narrow gate that very few people pass through, because the story in the unconscious pulls us back into the world, and we don't recognize that we are already of the awareness that is not of the world. If you'd like to book in for a 1-hour Zoom call session to release any old trauma and replace it with positive feelings and affirmations, click on the link below for a 1-hour Zoom call session. So once again, thank you for sharing at this level, where we're preparing ourselves to let go of old trauma that no longer serves us.